Brand new edition of Village Vice, and we are talking offensive line today. Yes, once again, he is Zach. I'm Brad. And the offensive line is starting to be talked about in part because of the massive addition at left tackle, Big Percy Lewis from Mississippi State. And Jim Nagy put out a post on X earlier today that grabbed a lot of people's attention, Zach.
Yeah, and I mean, that first paragraph, it kind of kicks you in the gut a little bit. He says, it's been 5 drafts since Auburn football had an offensive lineman drafted, and 7 years since they've had one taken on day 2. Of course, that was Braden Smith in 2018. But those things should and could change next April with the arrival of Mississippi State behemoth transfer Percy Lewis.
6'7", 355, and the post goes on, and you can read it for yourself. Many of you already have, I'm sure. Goes on to talk about his measurables, talks about some of his strengths, the way that he bends and moves and adjusts in space, and particularly his strength in pass pro.
Sure.
Which the idea first, let's discuss first how you mentioned it's kind of a gut punch. The fact that Auburn hasn't had an O-lineman drafted in 5 years. You follow the program closely. It doesn't surprise you.
No.
It also, there's a direct correlation, Zach, between competitiveness at the top of the conference and having professional grade offensive linemen. If you don't have them, you're not competing at the top of the league.
Sure. I will add the caveat, little surprised Gunnar Britton didn't get drafted. Little surprised by that. Little surprised by that. But still, the program has not been in a good place when it comes to offensive line. We've had, 10 shows already this offseason about how Hugh Freeze and the staff is changing that. And they're doing it through the high school ranks, but it's still just going to take time. It's going to take time for these guys to actually start playing unless you're a special player and there's a special situation like Connor Lew did a year ago. But the goal wasn't for him to play. Avery got hurt, and then Connor took advantage of the situation. That could happen this year with maybe a freshman like DeAndre Carter. We'll see. But Freeze going out and getting Percy Lewis, I mean, it's a great situation for several reasons, Brad. One is he's going to be good. He's going to be good at left tackle and allows you to kind of move some other guys around. We'll talk about Dillon Wade and how he's impacted by all this in a second. But we've talked about this a little bit with Bruce Pearl in like the center position, where he goes out and gets Walker Kessler, gets him drafted, goes out and gets Janai Broome. And then, whoever they go out and get after Janai Broome is done, they're going to have a heck of a sales pitch of, if you're a transfer center and we want you, good things happen. If I'm Hugh Freeze and I say, okay, let's get Percy Lewis drafted, hopefully in the first 2 rounds, I know everybody's so focused on NIL and all of that, like what can they offer me? But if Hugh Freeze can go to another tackle and say, hey, look at what we just did with Percy Lewis, we can do that with you too.
No, it's great. It's one of the top 3 probably most important positions on your team year after year. We know that they're paid well in the NFL because of how important the position is. And I like that Percy's strengths in pass protection are highlighted because we've been discussing here in the offseason. I think anyway, I don't know that it'll be just massive. It's not going to be a huge swing the other way. Okay. But I think the pass to run split is going to be more balanced than it was a year ago, which means it'll probably be more passing than we've seen at Auburn in a while in terms of the game plan offensively. And so a guy who's already strong at that position, you give more protection to your quarterback, who now also has more weapons to work with in the receiving core. And now the potential for this offense to be better consistently is much higher than it was a season ago, even with Dillon Wade at left tackle and Gunnar Britton at guard. This combination of Lewis and Wade excites me even more than the Wade-Britton pairing on the left side did a year ago.
Yeah, and I mean, you work all the way across. I mean, every position group you feel better about, maybe with the exception of left guard. Like, I think Gunnar Britton in a vacuum at left guard is probably better than Dillon Wade, but we don't know that. We don't know that for sure. And the fact that the upside argument is there is exciting. But you love like what Percy Lewis is going to do at left tackle versus what Dillon Wade did at left tackle a year ago. Not that Dillon Wade is bad, just Percy Lewis I think is really, really good. Just touched on left guard. Center, like, you love the upside of Connor Lew more than what Avery brought a year ago than Connor over the last few games as a freshman. You just got to feel like he's going to take a step forward. Right guard, same dude, Jeremiah Wright. Let's just see if he can continue to kind of stabilize and be healthy and help this offense grow. Then a right tackle, same thing. Xavier Miller played maybe a hair too early, but he was so good, and they saw the upside of just how raw he was, and they've already kind of crafted him into being a pretty solid right tackle. He's got another year to go now. So, I mean, just spot for spot compared to where they were a year ago, it's a great situation to be in.
The website Hook'em Headlines, which is obviously a Texas-leaning site, 3 days ago put out an article that ranked the offensive line units in the SEC. And I thought this was notable. They had Auburn at 7, so right there in the middle, just in the top half of the league in their rankings. And it said that Auburn's offensive line, is part of the article, held up well in pass pro last season, ranking 6th out of 14 in pass blocking efficiency. And they were even better in run blocking, top 5 in the SEC in yards before contact and run blocking grade in conference games. So when you take a group that was already strong in run blocking, and you add a guy who is stronger in pass pro, but just massive. So it's not like he's bad at run blocking. He's a massive guy and creates space just by being there. They'll work on his physicality, finishing physically, which is part of Jim Nagy's post. And now you've got a line that could surprise people. That Hook'em Headlines article mentions they could finish the year higher than that. And man, if you're talking about finishing top 4 or 5 in the league in offensive line units, you had a chance to finish top 4 or 5 in the league overall.
Yeah, I'd be a little disappointed if this wasn't a top 5 SEC offensive line when it's all said and done. I mean, if you told me that they finished 7th or worse as far as offensive line rankings go in the conference, I would think somebody got hurt, and they got hurt early in the season. I really believe in this group. Not only do I believe in this group, but I believe that the offense is just going to make so much more sense than it did a year ago with Freeze and Nix taking over the offense, Brad. Yeah. And to me, like, I know people want to roll their eyes about Peyton Thorne and how quickly these freshman receivers can get things going, but just in a vacuum, like, the offensive line and the running game should be able to support all of that. And I think the scheme is finally going to be able to be there to help support them. So yeah, to me, I think this is a top 5 offensive line. And if it's not, something went wrong, because if they're not, it could be a bad year. It could be a bad and long year. Auburn, to succeed on offense, this isn't a crazy take. They need this offensive line to be towards the top of the conference, or I think the offense could be in trouble.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that goes, that's not crazy, because I think it goes for most teams every year. Again, you want to be competitive consistently, you got to have the offensive line. That same organization, the Hook'em Headlines, they put out a post on X a week ago that ranked the SEC offensive lines based on number of career FBS blocking snaps, career starts, and then returning starters. So it wasn't necessarily a qualitative ranking. It's not this team's the best because they have this many. They're just saying, here's the data. Here are the number of snaps.
Sure.
A little surprisingly, Kentucky, of course, Kentucky has 4 starters coming back. Kentucky, Texas, LSU, Georgia, and South Carolina all have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. Kentucky leads the way in terms of blocking snaps, career starts. They have 129 career starts. Auburn came in next to last in the league in this quantitative ranking system.
How?
Just ahead of Alabama in career FBS snaps, career starts, and then they list 3 returning starters.
How are they counting that? Auburn has 4 returning starters.
Right.
They're not counting Connor?
They must not be counting Connor as the starter at center.
Well, that's dumb.
It is dumb. Or they may not be counting Dillon as a starter because he was at a different position. Maybe.
That's dumb,
I don't
too.
know. It's dumb.
Easier to play guard than it is tackle.
Yeah. Both don't make sense. Neither makes sense. But that's how they have it ranked anyway. And they've got to be counting the number of snaps.
Are they only counting snaps for their respective team? because like Percy's played plenty of snaps.
Yeah, but he's only started 8 games, so I don't know if Auburn gets credit for his 8 starts or the
Based on
snap.
that, I would guess not.
Yeah. So, but like a Connor Lew, his snaps and his starts would count, even if they don't count him in as a returning starter.
Yeah, the second half of the season or however many games that was. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's interesting in their ranking system. Not that this is a Hook'em headlines show, but Auburn is playing several of the bottom tier according to these rankings. They have Vanderbilt at 16, Arkansas at 15. They have Oklahoma at 12, despite the fact that they don't have any returning starters on the offensive line. So thought that was interesting. And Oklahoma, let me check. Oklahoma is the one of 2 teams without a returning starter on the O-line. Mississippi State is the other.
Oklahoma, and we've talked about this before with how important that game is. I think it's the most important game on this season, but there are arguments that you can make for it not to be. It's up there. It's top 3. I'd have a hard time believing or listening to an argument that didn't include it in the top 3. But that's just not being discussed. Mm-hmm. Like Oklahoma's about to play the toughest schedule that it's played by coming into the SEC for the first time with no offensive line and a new quarterback.
Yeah.
And everybody's just acting like that's going to be okay. And it might be, but the fact that we're all assuming that it's going to be is a little weird to me.
Yeah. Well, their schedule before SEC play it's worth talking about a little bit. It's not.
I agree.
It's not 3 cupcakes before league play starts.
I agree.
All right. Let's talk more about that a little bit after I tell. Look how sharp Zach looks. Doesn't he look like I know he normally looks better than me, but like it's magnified today because he's got on his Rhoback.
The Rhoback, yeah.
It's a comfortable hoodie. It is. They have everything they make is comfortable. They have athletic shorts. They have hats. They have polos. They have hoodies. They have quarter zips, which are great for like a cloudy, windy day on the golf course or the lake or anywhere else you want to go this summer. You're going to get 20% off at Rhoback.com right there, like it says, RHOBACK, 20% off using our promo code VICE20, VICE20 at Rhoback.com. You get 20% off. I was in the office yesterday morning, and somebody came by and said, hey, noticed you're looking sharp there in your Rhoback. You guys have a promo code or what? And I said, first, thanks for watching. But second, yes. VICE20.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you use that. It helps out the show and you'll look and feel better.
Wow. Yep. Love Rhoback. I love this hoodie. I have it by my desk. And whenever it's time to record, I just change into it. So it's my recording hoodie, if you will.
Your recording hoodie. I love it. It's going to be my whatever I've got to do tonight hoodie as soon as I get to the house.
I have more than one.
Yeah.
I have a lounge hoodie and I have a recording hoodie at this point in time. So keep you updated on that.
Yeah.
So Oklahoma before conference play, the schedule is interesting.
Yeah. They lead, they start the year with Temple. Now their first 4 games are all at home.
Right.
So that Temple game does provide them, I think it's the easiest of their 3 openers. It provides them with a little chance to ease into things. But then they have Houston and Tulane back to back.
Houston is fascinating to me because you know Houston is going to want to win that game. Do they have the horses to do it? Yeah. I don't know. But the pressure is, I've said this before, like when they come to Auburn or when they play Tennessee, in Norman before they come to Auburn. The pressure is on Oklahoma. The pressure is going to be on Oklahoma when they play Houston as well.
Yeah.
And Tulane, but more so Houston, I think.
They didn't play last year, did they? No, they didn't. Look, Houston struggled last year in the Big 12. They really did. UCF struggled last year. Like any of these teams who are making their way into a new conference where they're moving up,
yeah,
and it's a different level of physicality, they're going to struggle. But they've had another year now to get acclimated, and between Houston and Tulane in week 3. These aren't automatic games for Oklahoma. I'm not coming on this show predicting them to lose any of these 3. But especially Houston and Tulane aren't just gimme games for Oklahoma with a brand new offensive line.
I'm with you. Yeah, and then it's I don't have it in front of me, but then it's Tennessee at home.
Yep.
They go to Auburn, to Jordan
Yep.
Hare, and then they play Texas.
Well, then they're off a week, and then they play Texas.
There's a bye week in there. Gotcha.
I've got it here. Off week, then Texas, then South Carolina at home, then at Ole Miss, and then Maine at home on November 3rd. What are we?
Nice.
November 2nd. What are we doing? And then they play at Missouri, then another bye week, and then they host Alabama, and then they go to LSU.
Yeah, they're not ranked at the end of the year, right?
No, if they go 7-5, you're not surprised.
Yeah, right.
Which would be, again, about right for a team who's moving up in terms of the power of their conference.
Yep.
I understand the Big 12 is a Power 5 league, but it's a step up when you go from the Big 12 to the SEC.
Yeah, you compare their schedule last few years to their schedule this year. It's not the same.
No.
It's not the same at all. So, yeah, we'll see. I just, going back to the offensive line thing, that's just being ignored. And I don't fully get it. I don't fully get why the offensive line situation at Oklahoma is being ignored. I get the quarterback thing being ignored because it's like, well, this was like, he was the plan. Like, he's the former 5-star. It's the plan. Like, okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you need an O-line. You need an O-line. And I don't know if they have it.
You better have one again. And they've recruited well. That's fine. It's, of course they've recruited well at every position.
Yeah.
But now you're not going against Big 12 defenses week after week. Mm-hmm. You're not going against Big 12 edge rushers. You're going against SEC tackles and noses and ends and edges. And yeah, that's different.
So I want to ask you a question that I thought was interesting, and I'm clearly in the minority on my opinion of this. And I really want your thoughts on this. So that's coming up in just a moment.
All right.
Go check out our friends at MyBookie.ag. It's the best place to wager, whether it's taking part in the best sports book that they can offer with all the props, odds, and lines you can ask for. Or, of course, they've got their virtual casino where you can play slots. They've got live dealer action. It's like you're at an actual casino in the comfort of your own home. So be sure to check that out, mybookie.ag. Use promo code NEXTROUND, one word, next round, and you'll get some extra money to play with. When you make that first deposit, you'll get a few other VIP perks as well. So use promo code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag. We're pivoting hard here.
Okay.
Hard, Brad
right.
Law. You didn't know I was going this way.
Okay. I love it. I love impromptu pivoting. It's my favorite kind of pivot.
So on June 14th, at specifically 5:36 p.m. Central Time, this was last Friday, I asked a question on X. Simple poll, yes or no. And I asked, is sour cream a top 3 condiment of all time? And I expected a resounding yes.
Why? Why did you expect a resounding yes?
Because
it is. How people work?
It's goated. It's one of the best, if not the best. I think it's top 2. I certainly think it's top 3. If you want to put ranch and ketchup ahead of it, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. But sour cream makes everything better. And I was just shocked. 78% no, mixed with a bunch of like semi-aggressive replies and quote tweets, which is fine. I can take it. Food takes get people going, which is awesome. But yeah, I was just shocked, Brad. The Blackerby household, we love sour cream.
Yeah,
we love it.
And it's and it's great. And God bless everyone's right to choose the condiment of their choice, to mix condiments if they want to, or to label things condiments that aren't condiments.
Would you say sour cream is a condiment? Are you okay with that?
No, I wouldn't.
Interesting.
Nope, it's a topping. And toppings and condiments are not the same thing.
How is it different than ketchup or ranch?
Well, what do you dip in sour cream?
I dip all sorts of stuff in sour cream.
Like that, but that's my question. What do you dip in sour cream? You personally, what do you like to dip in sour cream?
I dip tacos in sour cream.
Uh-huh.
I've dipped a French fry in sour cream. Yeah, I dip all sorts of stuff that makes sense to put sour cream on it. Sure, I treat it the same as ketchup.
It does. Okay. See, I don't want to come across like my way is the only way, like a know-it-all or that kind of person.
No, I'm asking you to define the difference at this point. So now you also have to define what a dip is at this point.
Well, no, I'm not interested in going down that road because we could take this. This could have 100 different tentacles, right?
No,
Sour cream.
no, it's either like a condiment is something you put on food or it's not.
Okay. I made the argument on X that it should go on Mexican food and nothing else.
Okay.
I got a few people who hit back with, what about, hey, Brad, what about baked potatoes? All right.
Sure.
I get that. That's
Sure.
Fine. I'll give you baked potatoes and Mexican food.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. You ain't dipping. There's not one person watching outside maybe the Blackerby household who dips their French fries in sour cream. Same as a potato. I get that. I even get that logic.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody dips French fries in sour cream.
I'm glad you heard it. So that's good.
Yeah. Nobody does it. They might. I mean,
yes, on baked potatoes, not on French fries. Come on.
But nobody does it. Zach, you're the first person I've ever come across in 43 years of being alive who dips French fries in sour cream.
I guarantee you that's not true. I promise you that's not true.
First one that I've come across that will admit it.
People dip nachos in sour cream all the time. That's why they put a dollop of it at the corner of the plate.
They top nachos with it. They top tacos and burritos with sour cream.
I don't think that's having the impact you think it is. Putting something on top of it.
Yeah.
That's like, so is a salad dressing a topping?
Yes. It's not a condiment.
But it's also a condiment.
No, it's not a condiment.
You put ketchup on a hot dog.
Sure.
Is that a topping?
No, that's a condiment.
Explain that then, please. Just
I don't
real
have
quick.
to. I don't have
real
to.
quick.
I don't have to.
You're the one saying I'm wrong. So I think the burden of proof is on you. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just explaining the rules. I don't have to explain why the rules are the rules. These are just the rules, Zach.
Understood. I got it.
Now, sour cream has to, like, I know somebody who I know plenty of people who use sour cream as when they make a cake from scratch, and it makes the cake moist and light, and it's phenomenal.
Sure.
In that regard. So it can be an added ingredient in other things. Lots of dips use it.
Everything can be an ingredient. That's not a
right.
Anything can be an ingredient.
But not necessarily a condiment.
So give me your top 3 condiments of all time. They don't even have to be in order.
Yeah, but I'm all right. So I'm boring when it comes to condiments. I'll go spicy brown mustard, ketchup, barbecue sauce.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. All right. I think that about does it for today's show.
Oh, it does. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And remember, everyone has vices. Maybe yours is sour cream. Whatever. Everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.